Good Talk, the home where the talking is good. It's your boy Cody and the other guy here once again for good conversation in the tiny table and the big. I said we're in the tiny table. Screwed it up. Oh my gosh, can't always bat 100 though.
I did figure out my go-to now when you're doing your intro. I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Yeah, I thought about just drinking the whole time while you're doing it.
Just sit there and say nothing. You're just the eye candy. We've talked about this. You're just the pretty face.
I'm a beautiful man. Just a beautiful man over here.
Just meant to be on my arm and just,
Yeah, I'm the eye candy that the Lord has blessed Cody with.
Oh my gosh.
You got some
good.
competition, Kai.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Anyways, we've gotten into a weird place and we're only 30 seconds
Only
in.
30 seconds in, but you know,
that's a record for us.
Weird is what we do, right? Weird is the way.
We should make a shirt.
Weird
should be
is
a
what we
Blaze
do.
Youth Ministries. Weird is what we do.
Weird is what we do. I like
I don't
it.
hate it.
At this point, I'm
vote
willing
on
to
it.
like try any shirt. Like, let's just make a bunch of shirts and see what
What
happens.
do you guys like?
What do you
we
want?
were struggling over here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like our last couple shirts just flopped.
Yeah. Well, the tie-dye one was cool, I think, because people
Yeah,
got
that
to
was
do
cool.
something
That was
with it.
cool. I
And
did
so
like
that
it.
was fun. But this next one that we're about to drop, I hope you guys like it. Hopefully at the time of this.
The MTV Rip
Did not do as well as I wanted. I really wanted the MTV Rip to be like,
I was pulling for it.
yeah, but I
was.
think the problem was it's my generation that probably likes it. 'Cause I think I've heard the young adults, the Igniters.
Yeah, the Nickelodeon.
Yeah, they like the Nickelodeon Rip and the MTV Rip. I don't know.
Well, no, they don't like the MTV Rip because ours is the MTV Rip.
No, but they like ours, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
the Ignite likes ours,
right.
and the youth like theirs.
Oh, the youth like
yeah,
theirs?
I've had a bunch of students be like they love it because it's Nickelodeon. They rip Nickelodeon.
I know, but that's like
That's their
Rocco's Modern
generation.
Life was literally the same era as my generation.
Here's the deal, man. I'm done trying to figure it out.
I don't even know anymore. I don't even know what's cool anymore.
The algorithm is not lining up in my head. Well, I never knew it was cool to begin with. Like,
I think I've kind of fallen into your camp a little bit. Just stick with what you know, and eventually it's going to circle back around.
that's why I don't get rid of any clothes. That's exactly right.
Like, I might change it up a little bit. Like, I'm slightly into more of like this slightly bigger
Yeah, you're
fit
dressy
shirts.
today, bro.
I am. I don't know. I just felt like wearing a button up today.
Fancy.
I don't know why. It was just one of those days. Sometimes you feel like I want to be a little bit more business in my casual. Because there's business casual and then there's like business casual, but I want to be more business casual.
Yeah, the whole media department here at the church leans heavily to the casual side of business casual.
Well, I mean, if you give us an inch.
Delete that from the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
So good.
man.
All right, what are we talking about
I wanted to
today?
show you a
what do we do?
video
Oh,
that
okay.
Pastor V showed me today.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know if there's audio in it,
Oh.
because I didn't listen to it when she showed it to me. I guess I don't know how old this video is because I don't see any other information on here other than the video itself.
Great.
There's a huge ad that's 10 seconds long, of course.
Ugh.
Oh, I clicked on the ad. Oh gosh. Oh no. Yeah, okay.
I hate
here we go.
YouTube ads.
All right. I think that's the problem. Is
I need to
think
stop
it's-
listening to music
It's on the Weather
YouTube.
Channel. Oh, there
The
is.
videos on the Weather Channel?
Yeah,
Weather
yeah, yeah.
Channel's just branching out.
Yeah, dude. Okay. All right. Here we go. Struggling here.
The struggle
Media
is
guy.
real.
All right. So
Media
this
guy.
So to set the premise again, I don't know when this was, but I guess somewhere in Texas, as of somewhat recently,
Recent.
there was a tornado, and the storm chasers caught this on camera.
Okay, back to the wild weather out of Texas following a tornado outbreak. Folks, this is video you're looking at
someone in
from
that
Elgin,
truck.
just east of Austin. Watch as a twister lifts a pickup off the ground, spinning it around, and then landing it back on its wheels. Take another look. Okay, if that's not enough.
Like, how does
the
that even
driver
happen?
continues down
How
the
do you
road
go
as
from
if nothing
from
even
you're in like literally the worst situation, worst circumstances of all? You're driving. First of all, why are you driving through a tornado
All
to
right.
begin with? So
That's
this dude,
so many questions
For
I
those
have.
that are not like watching this right now, and those that are watching it, we put the clip in there for you. But there is this video of this guy that's in a big old truck out there in the middle of this tornado. He's driving on the road. The tornado flips him around. He gets on the side of the car, onto
the
the roof
side
of
of
the
the
car,
truck.
and then the car flips back over onto its wheels, and he just drives off like like
Right.
nothing even happened.
Doesn't even speed off.
No, he just casually goes on about his day, and so like I'm just
Totally
like
normal.
who
Everything
is
here
this
is
guy?
normal.
Who is this man? Someone needs to track this man down and be like, what is going on?
Listen, if you want to come on the podcast and tell us your story,
We'll track this guy
I would
down.
like to know what you're thinking. When I watched that, though, instantly I think of whatever car that is. I think it was a Chevy. They need to make that a commercial.
Right? That's
Like
a good
instantly,
idea.
they need to be like, our cars are durable.
Our cars can
We'll
be
get you
flipped
through
in
the
a tornado and it'll get you through the storm.
Yeah, our car is built for life.
Oh my gosh. And
Your life. The storms of life.
Oh my! And that's what I think I wanted to relate that to today. Is when I saw this clip, when I saw this happening right there, I feel like in that moment, if you're in that car, you know what goes on in your mind in that moment. Like
man.
I feel like everything would be so chaotic that you don't even know what you would do. Like I don't even know that I would have the state of mind to be like, what's happening right now? Where am I right now?
Right.
What's going on right now?
Right.
Because any wreck I've ever been in, it happens so fast that I almost didn't even
true.
realize that there was even time to process the wreck. And so I guess in my thinking here is that this happens a lot, like in our spiritual walk with God, is that, you know, we're going through our life and we're doing our best to live this life. But sometimes when we get in these storms, when we get in these situations, we find ourselves in a place of we don't know what to do.
Everything's upside down.
Everything's
real quick.
upside down real quick. And so I think, obviously, in this moment, I don't think this guy gave up because he clearly drove away. But I feel like, how do we as Christians have that go-getter attitude like this guy did? I'm assuming he had a go-getter, or maybe it was just like a let's just see what happens kind of thing.
I think he was just like, we're here now. We got to ride this out. Decisions have been made. Mistakes have been made. We just kind of got to go for it. But, you know, that's actually a really good wasn't trying to get here, but that's kind of cool about God. You know, like we can look at our life sometimes and be like, all right,
mistakes have been made.
Bad decisions have been made, but God,
Yeah.
in his mercy, in his graciousness, in his loving kindness, in his long suffering, he's always willing and able to bail out. I think that's the key, able to bail out his children.
The bailing out, too, I think is probably what you could focus on there, because
Yeah.
we probably don't even necessarily deserve to be bailed out, but yet he does it.
But that's what's so great about God. We never get what we deserve. Like Jesus took what we deserved. I mean, that's really what we deserved.
Sure.
And Jesus took all of that. And it's kind of like that truck in that storm in that clip. That truck was protecting the individual or the individuals within it. And it was taking like the brunt of the punishment.
That's true.
You know?
I didn't even think about it
It
that
was
way,
getting
because if you weren't in the truck, how much different would that situation have
Look
been?
at us going places.
In a truck, going places. Dad jokes.
All day long. All day long.
Oh, we'll be here every Monday morning at 6 a.m.
Dang, is that when this drops?
Yeah, dude, I drop it early. I want to make
Super
sure
early,
anyone
yeah.
that's on their commute to work or school, they got
just
it.
watching
they
us
got
on
the
the
good
bus.
talk.
But that is such a valid point. When you're outside of the vehicle, when you're outside of this relationship with God, and then a storm hits you. Rachel and I have been saying it for the last 2 years. I don't know how people got through the last 2 years without Jesus.
It would have been so incredibly worse, because I do feel like, yes, we are blessed and we have an amazing life, but it was still a pretty hard year for a lot of us. You know, even those that are in the will of God and doing what we're called to do, just because of our scope of like what we do in this life and having to help people through this, it's still hard and challenging. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to live a life not with God and having to go through a pandemic and having to go through injustices and having to go through this current state of affairs in the world and all that
War.
everything, you know, like
it's wild.
I wouldn't even want to imagine a life without
I can't
him.
imagine it. And it's not that we're special. This grace has been made available to everybody. You know, and it's one of those things that's so true about scriptures as we're reading. You know, Daniel, we had him on the podcast. He has that song, you know, Hope Lives. Like, hope lives because Jesus lives. And without Jesus, I don't have a lot of hope.
Because he is hope, honestly.
He is hope. He is my hope.
Yeah.
And he is my truck in that situation. Like, no matter how bad it gets, even if the truck is on its roof, I know it's going to land back on its tires because I have Jesus. He gives me hope in every situation, regardless of how hopeless it looks, right? And it's kind of like Abraham, who was faced with a hopeless situation, believed in hope. And the reason he believed in hope is because he had God. And so he's looking at the natural circumstances, the deadness of Sarah's womb, his age, and to be a father at 100 years old. And he's looking at that hopeless situation, but he's like, but God said it.
Yeah.
And God is on my side. So it doesn't matter what natural looks like. I have hope in this situation.
And I think the enemy and the world and sometimes even like outside sources or even our thoughts can sometimes try to manipulate the situation in some ways to think like, oh my gosh, this truck's not going to make it. You know, why don't you get out? You know what I mean? Like, clearly the truck's about to be crushed like a tin can. You better get out and run and just
Yeah.
try it on your, like, bail out
Yeah.
yourself right now. But in reality, if you do bail out in a tornado, you're not going to make it. All your chances
Yeah.
are significantly less.
Right.
And so the enemy knows that.
Yeah.
The enemy doesn't want us to live a protected, righteous, wonderful life. He doesn't want us to live in abundance. He doesn't want us to live in
Yeah.
health. He wants us to suffer, and ultimately he wants us to suffer and curse God for it, to
that's
say that
true.
it's God's fault and not
Yeah.
our fault, because that's really, I think, the struggle is that we have to realize that God's already done it.
Yeah.
God's already helped us. He's already extended this grace. He's already extended this mercy. He's already extended this love, but we have to choose to grab a hold of it for ourselves and stay within it.
Yeah, and I would encourage anybody, don't pull the ripcord. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's no ejection button that's a better option when it comes to your relationship with Jesus. And that's one thing that's been extremely frustrating for us over the last 2 years is like when things got really, really tough, I saw a lot of people walk away, and I'm like, no, this is your protection. This is your vehicle
Yeah.
that's going to keep you safe in the storm. Don't get out of the vehicle. You got to stay in it. And so I would encourage anybody right now, no matter what you're going through, no matter what it looks like around you, no matter what your thoughts, like
Yeah.
you just said, no matter what your mind is telling you, stay in the vehicle,
Mm.
which is this relationship with Jesus. Don't get out because it's dangerous out
Yeah.
there, and you're a lot more vulnerable on your own. You don't have that shell of righteousness or protection that he provides.
Yeah.
You know, we did a service once in the youth in the old building. Remember Mikhail, and I had him hold the umbrella, and then I came in with like a bucket of water. It was
so funny.
And as long as he was under the umbrella,
Yeah.
you know, and we played Rihanna, Ella, A. But, you
Throwback.
know, yeah, the protection is underneath, and that umbrella was a representation of his relationship with God, and it was a representation of how God's going to take care of us. But as soon as he got out from underneath
Yeah.
of that, man, he was vulnerable, and I don't know if you remember, we got it on our Instagram. He was running, and
Yeah.
I was chasing him. And I feel like so many people get tired because
Yeah.
they're constantly running from the devil. They're constantly running from the trials and the tribulations, and we're not supposed to run. We, like that guy, hold your seat.
Yeah.
And you have a seat.
Yeah, because the problem is not the seat. The problem is not the truck. The problem is the tornado. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
And-
true.
Or in
The
that
storm.
situation, it's the tornado. It's the storm. It's the situation. And I think the better question or the better response would be, because there are a lot of people that have left the church or left their walk with Jesus, but really they should go to the church or to Jesus and figure out how to deal with those situations, or even deal, even if it's a person or a people, like how to deal with those people through the help of Jesus and through the help of the church to help fix those issues instead of like bail out on Jesus.
Yeah, he's the solution, not the problem.
Exactly.
Right. And I think sometimes we make the mistake of allowing experiences to define our relationship, and it shouldn't be that way. You even remember the disciples, they were in the middle of the will of God because Jesus told them,
Yep.
go across to the other side. They were doing exactly what he told them to do, and they still faced a natural storm. So you can't gauge, am I doing what's right? Am I doing what's wrong? By all these outward experiences, you have to base it on the word of God. That's why we spend a lot of time talking about this must be our compass for morality. This must be our compass for living, because this determines if what we're doing is right. This determines if I'm living in a way I'm supposed to live. And then as long as I'm living according to this, these external circumstances don't really matter, because Jesus, I'm in the truck of
Yeah.
Jesus, and he's going to put me back on my tires, and we're going to be able to drive through this.
Yeah.
But I just can't, judge, because I feel like sometimes we get in the middle of the storm like that guy in the truck, and again, we don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, I have
But-
no idea. You're probably like, I'm trying to get to 7-Eleven.
What? Gotta get my Slurpee. But I doubt he was thinking, because I know everything was happening fast. I
Sure.
doubt he was thinking, I wonder if the truck's going to hold up.
Yeah, he's probably just like, I hope I don't die.
Yeah, I don't think he was thinking, I wonder if the truck's going to
Yeah.
hold up. I'm pretty sure that didn't even cross his mind. He's probably got so many other thoughts running
Yeah.
through. So it wasn't a question of the integrity of the vehicle he was in.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I'm sure he had a ton of other questions. You know what I mean? Like if I was in that situation, my family, I'd be
Yeah.
thinking about them.
Right.
But my question is not, I hope the truck's okay.
Yeah.
Will the truck make it?
Yeah, yeah.
The truck's fine, you know,
Yeah.
and that's the way, like, we get in these storms, and then we start to question the power and the deity and the ability of our God. I wonder if he's am I gonna get through this with him?
Well, even the disciples, like they were like, Lord, don't you care?
Yes.
Like, God, don't you care? We're gonna die. And
Yeah.
I respect and I love that at least they didn't bail on the boat. Because
true.
And again, a lot of these dudes were like more or less professional fishermen. So I think that they were like, all right, we can figure this out, right? We're going to survive. But again, it was a storm they'd never seen before. So
Yeah.
they were like, we're going to die. The odds aren't looking good. But, even though Jesus kind of rebuked him, was like, guys, come on. We've been through many of these before.
Right.
At least he was like, you came to me.
Yeah, to me, that's kind of like Jesus saying, trust the vehicle.
Yeah.
Why are you doubting?
He's like, I'm with you.
Yeah, don't doubt this relationship.
Yeah.
We're going to come through this. And that tells you how impressive the storm was, if that's the right word. If it's scaring professional fishermen, then this squall, is squalling.
Right.
I mean, it is doing some crazy things to where people who are on the sea every day, all day, are freaking out.
Yeah.
Then that's got to be a pretty big storm. So it doesn't matter the size of the storm. You've got to trust the integrity of the one you're dancing with, right? And that's where we are. It's like, don't give up on this.
Yeah,
There is no option in this equation where you're better off by yourself.
that's true.
And so if you want to look at it naturally, balance it naturally if that helps you. The creator of everything on your side or by yourself. Just that natural equation should tell you
What he's done, what I can do.
Right. And so I think, and I get the temptation. I get the logic behind it. You know what I mean? But it just doesn't. It's not the right play because we need Jesus.
Yeah.
All of us do.
Yeah.
There's not a person on the planet that doesn't need him. And I think if we can just stick with him, regardless of what our feelings are telling us, regardless of what our emotions are telling us, like you alluded to, even regardless of what our mind is telling us, we've got to remember Romans 8:14 says that the children of God are led by the Spirit of God. I'm supposed to be Spirit-led. I don't live according to the flesh. I live according to the Spirit,
Right.
as it says in the book of Romans. And so I must, what is the Spirit man telling me? And he's always telling you, stick with the one
Yeah.
who brought you to this place.
Yeah.
And he who started this work is faithful to finish it, but you can't get out in the middle here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what, even with that story of the disciples on the sea, I just loved so much. Like, if you just look at that whole thing from beginning to end, like, there was a reason that they needed to get to the other side. And that's why Jesus wanted them to go to the other side.
Yeah.
On the other side of that sea, there was a man that was being tormented by demons and needed to be set free. And Jesus was like, we got to go over there. He didn't tell them that they had to go over there for that reason, but ultimately that was their destination, was to get to the other side. And the world doesn't want us to get to the other side. The world doesn't need us to get, the world doesn't care if we get to the other side. The world just wants the world's way to go on without you, and we have to get to the place where we're saying, like, look, I have a place, I have a destination that God wants me to get. I can't let anything take me away from my destination.
Yeah.
Even if I don't know what the destination is, God wants me to
Right.
go this direction,
Right.
so I need to go that direction.
Details are important, process is important, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's trusting in him that's
Yeah.
the most important.
Yeah.
And that's something that even Rachel and I, we've been walking with him for a very long time. Me, 22 years is when I got serious about God. Her, I think she's right around the same time frame. We've been here for 20 years. Even walking with him all of these years, we still have challenges where we're like, well, we have to trust God. This looks crazy. This looks wild, whether it's a bill that comes up in our family,
Right.
whether it's something with our boys, whether it's something with us personally, so we're never exempt from these challenges.
Right.
We live in a fallen world and we have an enemy.
They just look a little bit different along the way.
They just look a little bit different, but God is the same.
Yep.
And it's like David syndrome, right? The same God who delivered me from the bear and the lion will also deliver me from this uncircumcised Philistine. So it's not the matter of the challenge. It's the matter of I'm sticking with God who got me through this challenge, that because challenges come and go.
Yep.
They could vary in sizes. They vary in degree. They vary, you know what I mean? But God is the same.
Victory is always guaranteed.
Yes.
We just have to accept it for
That's right.
ourselves. We have to
Yeah.
accept that the battle's already done. We just got to do it with God.
Yes, and that's something that'll preach. You go back to the book of Chronicles, and when he told them, go out there and dance and rejoice and send the worship team. Yes, there's 3 armies, not just one. There's 3 armies that have come against you, but what he said is very key. The battle's not yours, it's the Lord's.
Yeah.
And they went out there not dancing and rejoicing because they wanted God to do something. They went out there dancing and rejoicing because they believed he had already given them
Yeah.
victory. That's why you rejoice.
Yeah.
You rejoice not to get the victory. You rejoice because you believe you already have the victory. And so they went out there rejoicing and dancing, and we know what happened. The army slaughtered each other, and then it says after they slaughtered each other, they turned on each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we killed these 2 armies. Now we're going to start killing each
Right.
other. But, they could have been moved by what they saw in the natural. I mean, 3 armies is no joke.
Right. That's a pretty big, serious situation that you got in front of you.
And then even the advice of the Lord, send out the worship team. It's like,
Send all those
you know,
guys.
give those guys harmonicas and the
Do what
mandolins
now?
and send them out. You know, harps. You know, go do your thing.
Little
So
da-da-da-da.
you can't. But that even shows us too with
Yeah.
like the disciples. They couldn't be moved by what they saw in the Book of Chronicles. They couldn't be moved by what they saw. Things don't always make sense in the natural. You've got to esteem spiritual things over natural things, because truth be told, spiritual things are greater because everything we see was created by the Spirit.
Yeah.
So everything, you know, that's like the difference between revelation knowledge and sense knowledge. Well, revelation knowledge is greater because revelation knowledge is what created everything. And so we have to go with God. We have to stay with God. And we will always be tempted
Yeah.
to get out of this boat, to get out of the truck, but we've got to trust in him. It's like Proverbs 3, right? Lean not on your understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and trust him,
Yeah.
right? And so we just have to have that mentality that if we stick with God, we have hope. And since we have hope, we know
Yeah.
that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, I love that scripture says the weapon will. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
I
No
just
weapon
like
formed against you.
Yeah, no weapon formed against you will prosper. I had it in my mind, and it's like
Yeah.
I lost it, like a little brain
Been
fart there. I was like, but ever since I think it was a couple years ago, Pastor Mark like really like brought it to light, and for me in just such a different way. He said the weapon will be formed,
Yeah.
but it won't prosper.
Right.
Meaning
You don't
like,
have a promise that no weapon will be
yeah,
formed.
the weapons are always going to form.
Yeah.
but they will not prosper.
They will not prosper.
And that's a word from God saying that,
Mm-hmm.
like, look, you will go through tornadoes. You will go through storms. You will go through hardships, or in the sense of they will not prosper in your life, though. They will be around you. The
Mm-hmm. Yep.
opportunity for these things to come around you will happen,
Mm-hmm.
or it could look like it's going to happen to you, but it's not going to prosper. It will not manifest itself in your life because God's going to lead you through it.
1,000 will fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come nigh thy dwelling.
Yeah.
Right? And so we just have to. So what we need to do is when our truck is in the tornado, man, just put the seatbelt on and act like you're on a ride at Six Flags. Put the hands up and just enjoy the ride because he's pulling you. He's pulling you through. Honestly, you just need to act like you're on the Batman
Yeah.
at Six Flags
Man.
and just or Goliath, you know. And there is that point, you know, where in Goliath at the Six Flags, I hate the way that thing holds you in. And there is a point at the top of that where I feel like I'm coming out of that sucker.
Yeah, dude. But at the same time, like you're on that thing, you're like, I'm already up here. I have to trust that this thing's gonna keep me in here because I got to get back down.
Exactly. And there's no logical equation at the top of that where I'm trying to jump out.
Right.
I'm holding my seat. I'm going to put my hands up.
Oh,
I'm
man.
already here. I just as well enjoy the ride, right? And
I mean, honestly, I do love that. I love that in the book of James it says, consider every opportunity to show like God's going to get you through it. Like consider it an opportunity to show
Yeah.
how big God is. Like that essentially like this weapon that's being formed, let's see what God's going to do about
Yep.
it. This storm that's around me in my life, let's see how God gets me through
Yep.
it. Like it's an opportunity to show how big God actually is.
what is that scripture? My goodness, it produces perseverance on the inside of us, right? And so the way you persevere is not by giving up.
Yeah.
You know, these trials come, and with faithfulness, you know, you persevere. You stick. You gotta. We said this word a long time ago, and you stick to itiveness. You knew where I was going. That's amazing.
I felt it coming.
Is that a word? I don't know.
Might be now.
But you gotta have some stick to itiveness about you, and I think it would help. It even helps me. And if someone's listening, in our minds, we need to make up our mind. There's no other viable option. It's
Yeah.
like you're on that ride at Six Flags. You're at the top right before it goes down. Getting out of this thing's not an option.
Yeah, there is no option
Right,
getting
there
out.
is
You
no
got to get
option.
down. This is the only way down.
Right. And I feel like that's really when we get in trouble. When we try to get out. Because now we are vulnerable. We,
We
are
start to
doing
convince
things.
ourselves that there is other options.
There is other options. I can do this better. I can do it. Anytime I get into my own strength and my own ability, because my own strength and my own ability has limits. God
Can
has
only
no
take you
limits.
so far.
Yeah, God has no limits. He is limitless, right? And that's why the scriptures say all things are possible to those who believe, because now you've tapped into a limitless source that can change everything.
Yeah.
And that can pull you through everything.
Yeah.
That's already given you victory. When the truck is on its hood and spinning in circles, you have victory, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, are there challenges with the emotions raging and the
Right.
feelings, and even in that situation, the thought of death? I mean, there's absolute real challenges,
Absolutely.
and we're not taking away from
No,
those.
we're not belittling any of that.
We're not belittling any of that. But what we are saying is if we will push through that and push into this relationship with God, then we can come through these storms And you know what? God is just so good. He'll bring us out better than when we went in.
I mean, that truck was still moving, man. That truck was
Wild.
looking fine, man.
Right.
Like
That
you
was
said,
crazy.
Chevy or Ford, whoever you are,
Make a commercial
you need to
right
use
now.
that right now. Even if
Yeah.
you have to recreate it or something,
Yeah.
just show it and then be like, based on true events.
Honestly.
That man deserves a free truck.
Honestly.
That's
give
a
him
good
truck.
promo op right there.
No, don't do that, because then you'll have a bunch of crazies out there like trying to drive into storms thinking they're going to get a free
That's
truck
true,
because they're going to
that's
be in a
true.
commercial. So don't give
One
the
time
man-
only.
Yeah, well, yes, put a disclaimer on that for sure.
Oh, my
And so
gosh.
I think our advice for you today is, listen, don't gauge. This relationship is so key.
Yeah.
And it's so pivotal to our success.
Mm-hmm.
And your success cannot be determined by everything that's going on outwardly, because outwardly things can change in a moment.
Yeah.
Like that video that you showed. He went from being on the roof to on the side to on his tires, and everything happened quick.
Yeah.
So things change fast. But God never changes.
That's right.
So stick with the one who never changes. Stick with the one who's given you victory. Listen to me now, in every situation.
Yes. Every situation.
Stick with him, and God is so good. Every challenge that Rachel and I have faced in our life, since we've stuck with God, we've come out of that challenge better off than how we went into that challenge.
Amen.
And so whether it was more spiritually mature, whether it was more financially advanced, whether it was in a better emotional state, he always brings us out better because he's a good God.
That's right.
And so stick with him. You have a promise. You have a covenant. And God does not waver on his promises. And he's faithful to his promise, which means he's faithful to you.
Yeah.
You just got to stick with him
Yeah.
and allow him. By sticking with him, you allow yourself to see the faithfulness
Yeah.
of God in the land of the living.
Amen.
And that's what we got to do. Just stick with him at all cost, and he'll bring you through. Yes, we do our part. That man didn't jump out.
Yeah.
That man, we got to do our part, but God will always do his part.
Amen. Get yourself and pray for yourself to have a spirit of stick-to-itiveness
Stick-to-itiveness.
and lean into that relationship with God, because his knowledge is better than your knowledge. He's always going to get you to the
Absolutely.
end.
Yeah.
He's always going to get you to victory.
Yeah.
We love you guys so much. We
Get out
hope you
there
had
and
a
buy a
good
Chevy.
time on the Good Talk, sponsored by Chevy.
Not a sponsor.
Just kidding. All right. We love you guys so much. We'll see you next time on Good Talk. Bye.
Bye.